This is KSL Sunday Edition with Deanie Wimmer.
With the arrival of the NHL coming to Sandy, it's a huge catalyst for economic redevelopment.
This week on Sunday Edition, why more people are traveling to Utah for athletics and how the sports scene is becoming one of the best in the country. Plus,
this is a pretty big competition. We have the best band in the state of Utah is here.
The Rocky Mountain Marching Band Invitational brings high school bands from multiple states together. What students say they learned from this competition. But first,
his integrity is such that he has the courage to say exactly what the Lord would have him say.
A new prophet announced after the death of President Russell M. Nelson, looking at the new First Presidency and the next steps for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Today is the first Sunday in 7 years that a new prophet is leading the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. President Dallin H was officially called and accepted the title during a special broadcast earlier this week. He also announced the two men who will join him in the church's First Presidency.
I accept with humility the responsibility that God has placed upon me and commit my whole heart and soul to the service to which I've been called.
President Dallin H. Oaks is now the 18th president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
I testify that the Lord speaks to the apostles of his church and through the apostles of his church, according to the organization that has been revealed to serve us in these latter days.
During Tuesday's special worldwide broadcast, President Oaks announced his two counselors.
I have been inspired by the Lord to call President Henry B. Eyring as first counselor and President D. Todd Christofferson as second counselor in the First Presidency.
This is the fourth time President Eyring has served in the First Presidency.
The feeling of being asked, I believe under inspiration, to come and serve again in the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was, I can express the gratitude that I feel for the trust from the Lord and the trust that President Oaks has shown to me.
It is the first time for President Christofferson, an 80-year-old former attorney who's been an apostle for the last 17 years.
I confess that this is not what I expected when I woke up this morning. But I am deeply honored by this calling and the trust that it carries. At the same time, I recognize that I'm not called to be honored, but called to serve.
This all comes after the death of President Russell M. Nelson, who led the church from 2018 until he passed away late last month. This is the longest time between the death of a prophet and the reorganization of the First Presidency since the late 1800s.
I am grateful for the prayers offered by so many members of the church for a new First Presidency. I have felt the effect of those prayers, and with my counselors, we will strive in all respects to press forward this great work.
Dallin Harris Oaks was born in 1932 in Provo. He has an undergraduate degree from BYU and a law degree from the University of Chicago. After law school, he clerked for U.S. Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren. During his career, he was twice considered for nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court, in 1975 by Gerald Ford and in 1981 by Ronald Reagan. Oaks became the 8th president of BYU from 1971 to 1980. Then he was appointed to the Utah State Supreme Court. He served until he was called as a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles in 1984. We spoke with friends of his in the legal profession about his impact.
He was on the short list for the United States Supreme Court. People knew Dallin Oaks. He had a national profile and was widely admired on both sides of the aisle.
He was so well respected. Actually, I think it was regarded as an enormous coup that Utah's Supreme Court could bring people of his stature into the work of the court.
I think what he's doing right now may be the most significant contribution that anyone can offer to defending and supporting the Constitution is his vision and how he's encouraging Latter-day Saints and others to pursue that.
President Oaks has traveled the world speaking on religious freedom, and both Christine Durham and Thomas Griffith believe that has been an important part of his ministry. Another key part of his ministry is the importance of family. He has 6 children of his own, and in his last General Conference talk, President Oaks focused on strengthening families and spoke about his own family. Religion specialist Carol Makita joins us now, and you had the chance to talk with one of his daughters recently.
I did. It was a lovely opportunity to speak with Jenny. Jenny Oaks Baker is the youngest child of President Dallin H. Oaks and his first wife, the late June Dixon Oaks. I visited with her last week, and she talked about growing up in a loving and supportive family.
I love his integrity.
Jenny Oaks Baker is speaking of her father, President Dallin H. Oaks, newly ordained prophet and president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
His integrity is such that he has the courage to say exactly what the Lord would have him say, even if it will make him unpopular with certain people.
She was also pleased that everyone watching General Conference witnessed her father's tender heart.
My father died when I was 7 years old, so my younger brother and sister and I were raised by a widowed mother. How she prayed for heavenly assistance in raising her children, and she was blessed.
Jenny is the youngest of 6. Her parents, Dallin and June Dixon Oaks, married in the Salt Lake Temple in 1952. She has fond memories of family life.
We learned to work hard. We learned Dad's mantra is work first, play later. Those dinner table teachings will stay with me forever, and I'm so grateful for them. And then every time we would be in the car, my parents would talk to me, and my dad would, teach me different important things, and always testify of Jesus Christ.
In 1997, her mother was diagnosed with cancer.
It was so sweet to see my dad taking care of my mom. And my mom was the center of our family, but my dad so beautifully kind of entered that role. And I was the youngest, when my mom died. I was barely 23. And he really just stepped into the role of both parents for me.
In 2000, President Oaks married Kristen McMain.
I'm so grateful for Kristen, my dad's wife, who has also been a wonderful mother and grandmother to my children.
And I asked her what would she want everyone to know about her father as he steps into the role of a world religious leader.
He's incredibly loving. He is good. His integrity is unmatched, and he will be doing what the Lord would have him do. No matter what, my dad will do what the Lord would have him do in any and all circumstances, and he will wear himself out serving God and Jesus Christ.
Carol's with us now. Carol, I love some of those pictures. Never seen them before. It was a really nice look at the family. It's been interesting to think about. We've heard how much President Oaks loved his job, and he was called to be an apostle at the height of his profession. Tell us that story.
He has said that being on the Utah Supreme Court were his favorite years practicing law. And it is a really remarkable story that it was 1984, and he was actually in Tucson, Arizona at a moot court. And he received a call from President Hinckley, who's in the First Presidency here. And he was actually at a restaurant, and President Hinckley could hear the mariachi band.
A Mexican restaurant.
Mexican restaurant, and said, well, when you get back to your hotel room, please call me. And so then the call was extended to him, and he so willingly did a 180 degrees. My career is in the hands of the Lord, so I will serve. He said immediately. I think it's quite remarkable and very touching.
Yes. The First Presidency, he has surrounded himself with intelligent men and men who also have unique things in common with him.
He has, President Eyring, a very intelligent man who degrees from Harvard, and then he taught at Stanford. So this is a great educator. And if you think about President Oaks, who 4 years after he was graduated from law school, the University of Chicago, he went back to teach there, and then he became president of BYU. So there is this educator firmness that in that first presidency. But then you look at now President Christopherson, who was an attorney and was a law clerk for Judge Sirica. So his experience at the highest echelon also puts him side by side with President Oaks, loving the law and understanding it and standing very strongly for a tenet of the faith, and that is that Latter-day Saints understand the laws of the lands in which they live and live by them.
And are educated.
And are educated.
About those things. That's
correct.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol, for sharing those insights.
My pleasure.
Very poignant.
My pleasure.
Still ahead on Sunday Edition, the reason why Utah sports are becoming some of the best in the nation. But first, Brigham Young University hosted the Rocky Mountain Marching Band Invitational. Hear from the students who competed and the band director of the 6A school that claimed first place.